Amara came back from her shop, froze, her breath trapped in her chest as she watched the scissors move again, sharp, cold, merciless. In her stepfather's hands, he sliced through her crochet dress like he is just cutting a piece of paper. The same dress she had stayed awake many nights to finish. Yarn scattered across the floor like wounded memories. Please. Her voice broke as she dropped to her knees. Please, stop. I beg you. He did not look at her face. His eyes were fixed on the fabric, on the colors she had carefully chosen, on the beauty her hands had created. Another cut, then another. The handmade purse came next. He tore it open and cut the straps. The bag she sold just last week to buy food, gone. The last one followed. Every piece of her work destroyed before her eyes. Do you know how long I worked for this? Amara cried, crawling toward him. I will do anything. I will work harder. I will obey you. Just stop, please. She held onto his legs, her tears soaking the dusty floor. Outside, the afternoon sun burned hot, but inside, the room felt cold and cruel. Her stepfather finally looked at her. His eyes were not angry, they were calm. That calm frightened her more than shouting ever could. You think these things make you important? He asked slowly. You think men look at you because of your work? Amara shook her head violently. No, sir. I only want to survive. Crochet is all I have. He laughed, a short, dry sound, with no joy in it. This village does not need your beauty, he said, and I will not allow it to bring shame to my house. With one last cut, the scissors fell to the ground. Silence filled the room. Amara sat there, broken yarn clinging to her fingers. Her chest rose and fell sharply as she struggled to breathe. The work of her hands, her pride, her hope lay in ruins around her. She looked up at him, her eyes red and swollen. Why are you doing this to me? You are becoming too visible, he said quietly. And I don't like competition. No one came in. No one asked questions. Amara realized something then, something heavy and terrifying. She was alone. Her stepfather turned away, walking toward the door. Before leaving, he paused and spoke without turning back. This is only the beginning, he said. If you don't learn your place, you will lose more than crochet. The door shut behind him. Amara collapsed onto the floor, clutching the torn threads to her chest. Her sobs filled the room, loud and raw, as the sun slowly dipped outside. Marking the end of the day, her life began to unravel. Fear whispered a question she was not yet ready to answer. What would he take from her next? She sat on the thin mat in the corner of her room, staring at her hands. The same hands that once created beauty now trembled like they no longer belonged to her. Threads of yarn still clung to her fingers, refusing to let go, just like her memories. At dawn, she rose quietly and washed her face at the backyard tap. When she looked at her reflection in the small broken mirror, she saw the girl everyone talked about, but no one truly knew. Amara was in her early 20s, tall, graceful, and strikingly beautiful. Her long, knotless braids flowed down her back, neatly done despite her hardship. Her curves were full and womanly, her waist soft, her hips wide. She carried herself with dignity, but that beauty had become her curse. Men came often to the house asking about her. Some came with gifts, others came with their families. They praised her skills, her respect, her calm nature. Each time her stepfather sent them away with cold words and false excuses. She is not ready. She is stubborn. She has a bad character. Amara never understood it until now. As she stepped outside that morning, She felt eyes on her. The village greeted her with familiar sounds, roosters crowing, women pounding yam, children laughing, but everything felt different. Whispers followed her steps. She's too proud. Her beauty will bring trouble. No woman should shine that much in her father's house. Amara lowered her head and walked faster. She went to the small shed behind the house where she usually worked. It was empty now. The basket that held her yarn was torn. Her hooks were missing. Her heart sank. He had taken them. A sharp pain settled in her chest. Crochet was not just work to her, it was peace. When she crocheted, the world made sense. Each loop was a prayer. Each pattern was hope. She turned and saw her stepfather standing at the entrance of the shed, arms folded. "You're awake early," he said. "I wanted to work," Amara replied softly. "There is no work for you anymore," he said. "Men look at you too much when you sit here." Amara's lips trembled. "I don't invite them. I don't even talk to them." He stepped closer. "That's the problem. You don't need to talk. Your body does the talking." She froze. His words crawled over her skin like ants. Fear filled her eyes, but she forced herself to stand tall. "I'm not doing anything wrong," she said. "I only want to live in peace." His face hardened. "Peace?" he repeated. "Peace comes from obedience." He leaned closer, his voice dropping. "You're growing into a woman I can no longer control, and I don't like that." Amara took a step back, her heart pounding loudly in her ears. "I respect you," she said quickly. "Please don't misunderstand me." He smiled, but he was not kind. "You will learn," he said. "Every woman learns." He turned and walked away, leaving his words hanging in the air like a threat. Amara stood there shaking. For the first time, the truth was clear. He was not protecting her. He was afraid of her, afraid of her beauty, afraid of her independence, afraid that one day she would leave and his power over her would disappear. That night, as Amara lay on her mat, listening to the sounds of the village, she hugged her knees to her chest. A silent decision formed in her heart. If she stayed, she would lose herself. But if she ran, she didn't know what awaited her. And as the moon rose high in the sky, Amara whispered into the darkness, "God, show me a way out before it's too late." Unseen by her, a pair of eyes watched from the doorway, calculating, jealous, and ready to act. The rain started that evening without warning. Heavy drops drummed against the zinc roof, washing the village paths into streams of red mud. Thunder rolled across the sky like a warning. But inside Amara's chest, the storm was even louder. Amara cooked a small pot of soup and ate alone. She washed the plates, swept the floor, and retreated to her room early, hoping sleep would come quickly. But sleep refused her. She lay on a mat, staring at the ceiling, replaying her stepfather's words from earlier that day. "You are growing into a woman I can no longer control." A sudden knock jolted her upright. "Amara!" His voice called from outside her door. Her heart dropped. "Yes, sir," she answered, forcing calm into her voice. "Come out." She hesitated. The rain beat harder. Thunder cracked close by. "I'm not feeling well," she said softly. Silence followed. Then the door creaked open. Amara sat up quickly, pulling her wrapper tighter around her waist. Her stepfather stood there, holding a lantern. The flickering light cast long shadows across his face. "You didn't answer fast enough," he said. "I was sleeping," she lied. He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. Fear wrapped around her throat. "Sit," he ordered. Amara's hand shook as she sat back on the mat. "You think you're better than this house," he said slowly. "Better than me." "No, sir," she whispered. "I'm grateful. You took me in." "Yes, he said. I raised you, fed you, protected you. His eyes traveled over her in a way that made her skin crawl. And now, he continued, men want to take what I raised. Please, sir, you're like my father. His face twisted. Don't lie to me, he snapped. You know what you do to men. Tears spilled from her eyes. I do nothing. I just want to walk and live quietly. He stepped closer. Then prove your obedience. Amara backed away until her back hit the wall. I can't, she cried. Please, don't do this. For a moment, something dark flickered in his eyes, desire mixed with anger. Then footsteps sounded outside. A neighbor's voice called faintly through the rain. Is everything okay in there? Her stepfather froze. He stepped back quickly, his expression changing. Yes, he shouted back. Everything is fine. The footsteps faded. He turned to Amara, eyes cold. This is your fault, he hissed. You will regret embarrassing me. He stormed out, slamming the door so hard the wall shook. Amara collapsed to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. That night, she did not pray for comfort. She prayed for escape. Before dawn, she wrapped a few clothes in an old cloth and hid them under her mat. She knew now, without doubt, that staying meant danger. But as the first light of morning crept into her room, she heard her stepfather's voice outside, speaking softly to someone. Plans were being made, and whatever he was planning, it did not include a safety. She lay still on her mat, listening to every sound in the compound, the cough of a neighbor, the crow of an early rooster, the low murmur of voices outside. Her heart beat fast, like it was counting the seconds she had left in that house. When the sun finally rose, she sat up slowly and reached for the small bundle she had hidden under her mat. Inside were two wrappers, a blouse, and the last crochet piece she had managed to save, a half-finished bag woven with blue and gold thread. She touched it gently. This is my hands, she thought. This is my life. She slipped out of her room quietly and headed toward the back of the compound. Just as she reached the gate, his voice rang out. Where do you think you're going? She froze. He stood there, arms folded, blocking her path. I'm going to the market, she said, her voice shaking. I want to buy yarn. He laughed, a short, bitter sound. With what money? He asked. Or are you going to use your body again? The words cut deep. Amara dropped to her knees without thinking. Please, she begged. Let me go. I won't come back, I swear. For a long moment he said nothing. Then he moved aside slowly. Go, he said coldly, and don't ever step foot here again. She did not wait for him to change his mind. Amara ran. She ran past mud houses, past the stream, past the road where children played, until her legs burned and her chest ached. When she could no longer run, she walked. When she could no longer walk, she rested under a mango tree and cried. By evening, she reached the edge of another village. Hungry, tired, and afraid, she sat near a small roadside shed where women sold palm oil and smoked fish. She took out her crochet bag and began to work, her fingers moving out of habit. A woman noticed her. You're talented, the woman said kindly. Who taught you? Myself, Amara replied softly. By nightfall, she had sold the bag. With that money, she bought food and paid for a place to sleep. Days turned into weeks. Amara worked every day, making bags, dresses, and wrappers. Her name spread quietly, the girl with golden hands. One afternoon, a group of visitors from the palace passed through the market. Among them was a young man dressed simply but carrying himself with calm authority. He stopped when he saw Amara's work. Who made this? He asked. I did, she said, lifting her eyes. He smiled. You have talent, he said, and courage in your eyes. That night, Amara was invited to the palace to work. She did not know it yet, but that single step would change her destiny forever. Amara's hands trembled as she stepped into the palace courtyard. The walls were tall, painted in warm earth colors, decorated with carved symbols of history and power. Servants moved quietly, their footsteps soft, their eyes curious. She felt small, but not weak. The young man who had noticed her work at the market stood beside her now. His name was Prince Damilola, the first son of the king. He had spoken gently to her all the way, asking about her craft, her journey, her life. He did not ask about her beauty. That alone made her feel safe. Inside the palace hall, elders examined her crochet works carefully. They touched the threads, studied the patterns, whispered among themselves. "This is not ordinary skill," one elder said. "This is patience. This is vision." Amara bowed her head, unsure what to say. From that day, she was given a small room within the palace, not as a servant, but as an artisan. She worked with peace for the first time in her life. No shouting, no threats, no fear. Only thread, color, and quiet hope. Weeks passed. Her designs became the pride of the palace. Queens requested her work. Visitors asked for her name. And slowly, Prince Damilola began to visit her workspace. Not as a prince, but as a man curious about the woman behind the art. "You never speak of your past," he said one evening. Amara smiled sadly. Some pasts are better left behind. He did not push. One night, news reached her former village. The man who had destroyed her work fell ill. No healer could cure him. At night, he cried out in fear, calling Amara's name. Her mother wept, remembering a daughter they had treated with no respect. "Find her," the elder said. "Only forgiveness can heal this house." But Amara did not return, not out of pride, but out of peace. Months later, the king called Amara before the throne. "My son has chosen you," he said gently, "not for your beauty, though you are beautiful, not for your skill alone, but for your strength." Amara's breath caught. She knelt, tears falling freely. Not from pain this time, but from gratitude. The girl whose life had been torn apart with scissors was now being offered a future no one could destroy. As she lifted her head, she understood something clearly. A crown was not given by marriage, it was woven by her own hands. Moral lesson: cruelty may break what you own, but it cannot break who you are. When you protect your dignity, nurture your gifts, and walk away from abuse, life will reward you in ways revenge never could. Sometimes the hands that try to ruin you are only pushing you toward your destiny.